Okay, live Q&A. So as soon as we get some people on, we'll jump into some questions. Let's do some sort of warm up. No plans for today. I'm going to train later and do some muscle up work and pullovers, pullover bar muscle up type stuff. Let's just warm up. How to do a diamond push up. So do you just mean a standard diamond push up like on the floor or a handstand push up? Because my understanding is a diamond push up is just putting your hands into a diamond position, and then so the elbows come out to the side. It's like a standard push up, but a diamond. Yeah, I'm not sure about that too much. Obviously, a diamond push up is that what you mean? Like this? Elbows going out to the side? Not sure that's that technical. It's just more arm position, just elbows out to the side, where normally we go into a standard push up, we externally rotate. So internal rotation is just a little bit harder mobility wise. But if you want to train towards anything like that type of skill, I would just be working slow eccentrics. So any of your push-up variations, if you do slow eccentrics through the pathway, check you have the bottom position, check you have the top position. So like standard push-up, if someone was training towards a standard push-up, it would just be holding the top position, making sure you can do that with control, and then lowering down to a hold at the bottom, and then coming back up with a slightly easier variation, and then adding it. So if you want to do the diamond one, you would just do the same thing. So hold that top position in the diamond position, slowly come down, hold the bottom, and then if you need to, come back up with knees. And then over time, you should be able to come back up. So exactly the same as if you go really to advanced stuff. So going like handstand push-ups, you do exactly the same. So you would learn your top position, which is obviously your handstand, and then you lower down with control at the bottom, hats in the way, and then come back up with an easier variation, or just work the slow eccentrics and do partial range and stuff. So you can use the same concept with any of the progressions. Does that answer all the questions on that? Does that cover the diamond push up? I'm not sure what else I can offer there in terms of coaching advice. Breaking any movement down to lots of segments and then attacking it from lots of different directions with the variations that you can do with control. And I do that across the board. So like if you was going towards, what should we do? Say a handstand to planche. So you would first need to make sure that you can do a planche position. You can do the handstand. And then you have to work out how do you get between the two. So it could be coming down slow as possible, using toe assist to go into the position. And then eventually doing the same movement, but coming all the way down without having the toe assist. So you've just got to work out which variations you can do and then put them together so you're not getting any big gaps. Awesome. Glad you're loving the content. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want me to demo anything while we're on live. Like I say, I've got no training plans during the live session. I'll just do whatever you guys ask. Just changing the setup for my laptop. how to deal with muscle imbalance. In terms of where's your imbalance? So what area of your body? Because like if you're doing in arms, so you're gonna have, like with calisthenics stuff, you are gonna have dominant sides. So like my good example for me is like I can do a one arm handstand very well on my right hand side, but I struggle on my left hand side. Chin ups, I'm much stronger. I've had a one arm chin on my left side, but never on my right side. So you get imbalances like that. So it's normal to have a dominant side and a non-dominant side. I would just be working like mobility throughout the body, try and make that as balanced as possible. And then if you're very imbalanced with like triceps and stuff, I would train with dumbbells. So that's probably the best way to try and fill any gaps there. Just use the same amount of weight, work to the hardest variation with the weaker side, and just do it that way. Just work out like how to push it to its max, and the other side's just not going to get such a workout, and that should slowly start to get more balanced. But you'll probably find that you'll always have an imbalance. That's totally normal. So long as it doesn't cause pain or real issues, then it should just get further away. For imbalances with triceps, I would probably go dumbbell presses, so a bigger movement. So more just close grip, like dumbbell presses, and not go too isolated. I think you'll just be like not wasting your time, but it'll just take so long to do with smaller muscles, like smaller dumbbells, higher repetitions, that type of thing. I'd go with heavier, bigger compound movements. What's the best way to train 90-degree handstand push-ups? I can do a normal full range of motion handstand push-up and a 90-degree hold. Should I just keep spamming? Yeah, you can do the pseudo push-ups, planch push-ups, but what I would do is practice eccentrics with elevated hands. So you can just go something like the weight plates work, like the bumper plates work really well. These IKEA steps are fantastic. So if you just find an easier, like if you've got bent arm, planche, hold, straight body, like that at the bottom, I would just be then training, coming down into an easier variation. So like this, lowering down to an easier tuck variation. Once you have that, okay, do the same thing with your eccentric handstand push-up, coming down, and then at the bottom, just come into an easier progression. And then just slowly start to open the eccentric up, and then do the same with the concentrics, start in a tuck position, scooping through to your shoulder stand position for the handstand push-up, and then try pushing up from there. I've got quite a few videos on the 90-degree handstand push-up and how to break it down. But basically, you just want to make a smaller, easier position to get back up again, and for the eccentrics to start with, and then slowly open it back out again. But definitely train the isolated movements. So that obviously a handstand at the top, the deficit handstand push-up, the shoulder stand, the bent arm planche, and then pull it into easier variations when you put it all back together. Dumbbell presses would just be like your standard. I don't know if I've got. I would go as heavy as you can. Dumbbells, I would need much heavier than this. You want to be aiming like 5 repetitions, 5 to 8 reps, but just getting close to your body like that and just pressing up and down there. And then doing the same, I would then turn over and do dips as well, that type of thing. That should fill any gaps on the imbalances. You always have one arm stronger than the other, but that should help from a movement point of view to make it more balanced. What's your standard recovery procedure for sustainable 5-day training? It depends on your intensity, the way you're splitting your exercises. But I would train or move in some way on a daily basis. So I would just up and down it in terms of intensity and how big the muscle groups are. Like I've done that big session last week. I don't know how many days ago it was, like 5 or 6 days ago, where I done heavy deadlift, 5 rep max, muscle ups, front lever, back lever, and I was quite sore from that. So the next few days, I was only working like smaller movements. So I had like a handstand push up day, a press day, but I just let my body recover, and then I'll up it again with a bigger session today or tomorrow. So it all depends very much on the intensity, but I would do something every day. So I do balance work, mobility work every day. Have like a daily practice where you're working skills, and that way you can tend to go up and down with the intensity, but still keep training as much as possible. So it's really hard to like give a definites on that. Do I have to learn the handstand before the planche? No, definitely not. You don't have to. Like handstand is very much about balance. And there's a lot of people that can hold a planche and not hold a handstand, and vice versa. It's very specific. But depends what your goals are. If you want to get handstand to planche, if you want to get planche presses, then you need a handstand. And handstand just takes a lot of time to learn. So I would recommend that you're learning your handstand balance while doing your planche, if your planche is a priority. And then if it's the other way around, obviously do your handstands more than your planche. But it sounds like your planche is your goal. If you've got no goals around the handstand, I wouldn't train handstand at all. Any other effective exercises for legs like pistol squats, Bulgarian split squats, lunges? No, they're the main ones I would do. I'd also do a bigger compound movement as well. I would be doing deadlifts and or weighted squats. Just you don't need to do them that frequently unless you're very weak in the legs. If you're very weak in the legs, I would build up a base first. Like I with my deadlift, especially as I'm getting older, I just do that probably once every 5 to 6 weeks. I'll have a big session on a deadlift just to make sure that I'm still maintaining strength there. And if I think if I'm losing it in any way, I'll definitely up the sessions because it's something I want to keep there. So I just don't train it that often, and then make sure I can do a pistol squat. Make sure you can do Bulgarian split squats are awesome. Yeah, they're the main ones. Any other questions, guys? Complete workout for legs. I would just do pistol squats, work up there, because with a pistol squat, you're working your mobility as well. And then I would work straddle type. It depends it depends on your goals. But mine is all around calisthenics and body weight movements. So even when I'm training leg mobility for handstand progressions, there's a lot of strength or mobility involved in that, strength through ranges of motion. So like Cossack squats and stuff, where you don't have to use that much weight, but it's very demanding from a mobility point of view, exactly the same as a pistol squat is. So I'll be doing single leg movements like the pistol squat, and then I'll be doing like split squats and what did I just say? Cossacks. They're the ones that I would do because you increase the mobility as well. But if you want to get big, stronger legs, then you'll struggle to do that without using a lot of weight. I would use deadlifts and squats where you can. Any other press, handstand push up, planche, one arm handstand? Basics I'll be working on. Where you go? 5-day strength mobility, rep max, rest. Your suggestion. So for me personally, because handstand is like the base of what I do, so I always do some sort of handstand work on a daily basis, whether it's just playing around on my hands with balance. But most days there's a strength element to my to my handstand practice. So it'll be press handstand, handstand push up, planches, handstand to planch press. And I'll just alternate straight arm days and bent arm days. That's what I tend to do most of the time. And that's what I would do most of my clients is get them alternating bent arm days and straight arm days. And it depends on your conditioning and how much you can push that and how much volume you're going to do in one day. So some people want to train fewer sessions per week. So we do multiple sessions. So you do fewer sessions and then you do bigger, longer sessions, like 3 or 4 times a week. I personally prefer 30 minutes to 90-minute sessions. So on the shorter days, 30 minutes, and then working up to 90 minutes on the longer days, where you would do a balance session, some one-arm handstands, some balance work, whatever balance you're working on, followed by a big movement like a handstand push-up or a 90-degree handstand push-up, or that for bent arm days, and then straight arm days, planches, presses, and things like that. So I would just alternate that. So that's what I prefer. But it very, like, I can't do programs on a 2-line question just because there's too many variables. You know, goals, current level, available time, equipment, stuff like that. How long needed for learning the tuck planch? Some people get a tuck planch in a week. Some people, it takes 18 months. So it's very dependent on the individual, and because it's a body weight exercise, it's very dependent on your body weight as well. So if someone's very light, so 50 kilos, 60 kilos, they're going to get planch normally much quicker than someone who's 100 kilos. So any of the body weight exercises is very variable on the individual. So it's impossible to give times. Can you show how to transition from the bent tuck planche into L to handstand? Bent tuck planche into L to handstand. I'm not sure exactly what you mean there. But if you're going to go something like that, you would need P-bars or blocks. So a bent arm planche for L sit to handstand would be, so this would be bent arm planche, that would be L sit, that would be transition through to handstand. So that one can be progressed or made very easy. So progressions would be straightening out the body on all those positions. Bringing it back into easier ones would be doing the eccentrics, would be breaking it apart into each of the components. Yeah, if you can't move your legs in the air, it's probably because you're still trying to balance, or you have too much load in the legs when you're trying to do things. We need to transfer all the weight into the upper body. So the hands, the shoulders, the upper body needs to take over with everything. So if I'm pushing up through my back, look, I can make my legs nearly like weightless when I come up and down. But if I do the opposite and have all my weight back in my legs, now I can't lift my legs up in the air. So learning how to transition weight forwards into the hands, making the hands the base, not the legs the base, makes a massive difference. So even simple things like crow, learning to transition, or frog position, transition weight up and down. So now you can see my hands are my base. And then from there, look, I can easily lift a leg up off the floor or up off the knee, same as I can lift both knees off their elbows, because I'm transitioning all the way to the upper body. If you can do that, it makes all the calisthenic exercises much, much easier. You said you started calisthenics at 37, so you never trained anything earlier. No, I definitely trained. I've trained from a child, but mainly weight training. So I just wanted to get big muscles, and when I was younger, so I did more traditional weight training in gyms. I done a little bit of CrossFit before I went into calisthenics, but at 37, I had I could do like an 8 to 10 second handstand. It was like walking around on my hands, wobbly feet and things. I had a really dodgy bar muscle up. I think I'd done a ring muscle up in a CrossFit class, but again, it was really dodgy and chicken wings and stuff like that. But I had a big training background, lots and lots of weights. I was pretty strong because I'm quite short as well. So shorter lever arms. So I had good strength, like overhead pressing with barbells and dumbbells. I was quite strong in. Legs were quite strong. Deadlift's always been quite strong. So yes, I had a good foundation there from a strength point of view. Terrible flexibility, like I struggled to touch the floor. How you fall from bent arm press safely. Just basically, you just need to start playing with entering and exiting positions and get comfortable with playing around with rotating out. The best way is just to go to the beach or the grass and just play with positions and get used to falling. And then over time, you'll just build a bigger circle of balance. It's really hard to train that in a gym. When you try and train falling in the gym, it's just so fake. So you really just need to play around, and over time, you'll create a bigger balance window. Just don't do anything that's too far out of your own safety at the moment, and then slowly increase it with repetition. No questions. I want to say I love your videos and respect the consistency on which you've been making uploading tutorial videos. Really glad your channel is blown up. Thank you very much. Yeah, I really enjoy making the videos. It's awesome now that I have time because I work from home 99% of the time now. I've got a lot more time to make the videos, and it's much easier because whenever I train, I make content. So I train in my garage by myself, so there's no noise, there's no music and gyms and stuff. So I can just make the content, and it's something that's like a hobby of mine as well as being my work. In L to handstand, the part after bent arm planche. Yeah, so that's getting your head and shoulders forwards of your hands. So most people will feel heavy when they come through here like this because they drop too much and they lose the connection between the shoulders and the hips. What we want to do is, if you get good at this type of thing, so you see there, my shoulders are going down and my hips are coming up, getting that connection so it's like a seesaw. So this is happening. That's how you make it much easier. If you're delayed, if I take my head and shoulders down but my hips don't move, then your legs are going to feel super heavy. You need to get the connection of your head and shoulders going down, and it'll pull your hip up. And at the same time, if you push, as you nearly go over to overbalance, you'll fall into the handstand. If your legs are here when you try and come up, you'll feel super, super heavy, and it'll be near on impossible to get up. So there's a massive difference on that. So if you just practice that L-sit coming through to a shoulder stand in a tuck position and get used to the rotation of the body, then it'll be much, much easier. And then slowly open out. If you open out too quickly, it'll feel really, really heavy. Any suggestions for legs keep dropping forward in a tuck planche? So mobility can help, making sure that you can easily get your knees to your chest. So making sure that you can get into a tight ball in this position. This should be easy. If your body struggles with that and like opens you up like that, it's going to be much harder to keep your legs into your torso. And then practice when you're going into your planche that you're already in this tight ball. So my knees are against my torso. I'm in a rounded position. And then look, all I'm going to do is slowly go forwards, keeping that tight position, bring their feet up. And then that's much easier to hold. If I'm like this, trying to get into the position, it's going to be so much harder. My legs are already disconnected from my torso. You want your legs to become part of the torso and in a tight ball before you go into the position as you push up and forwards. Do you have any basic exercises to get into the tuck planche that you can recommend? I've got quite a few videos on tuck planche and like beginner's tuck planche, but that one I just mentioned. So just getting used to being in a real tight tuck position here, leaning forwards, protracting and holding, and then lightly lift one foot up, 2 feet up, and then over time, both feet together. You can use band around the hips, but basically just holding in protraction. Planche leans are really good as well. Just get very comfortable in that position. Make sure your setup is good. So external rotation, get contact between your legs and your arms. This is going to help from a friction point of view. Over time, you want to create so your legs aren't attached to your arms. But to start with, as long as you keep the arms straight and in that position, have some contact there, it will make the tuck planche much easier. And just do enough reps. So it's probably going to mean every other day doing some tuck planche work to make sure that you get enough volume, and then you'll just slowly adapt to it. Talking too much, guys. Just need to have a drink. Okay, where was we? I can lift them in the air, but I can't move them around in the air, like going from a tuck to advanced tuck. I'm not strong enough for advanced tuck, but I feel like I can't move my legs. Yeah, so with the tuck to advanced tuck, there's a massive difference. So trying to think, how do you go between the two? So if I'm in a tuck, so I'm on a tuck position like this, advanced tuck is seen as being there. Look at the distance my knees and my legs have to move. So one is making sure you keep your heels to your butt. You don't want your legs like this and then move your knees away because your lever arm of your leg is going too far in that direction. You want to make sure that you open up a little bit at a time. So go to there first, then there, then there, and then there. And those progressions, those steps could take 3 or 4 weeks each. So don't think that you have to open from the tuck planche position. So don't go from this position to that position in like a real short amount of time. It's just too much difference. So think your movement is very, very slow and very small. You can play with it in a band, but a lot of time when you're in a band that you'll dump into your shoulder blades as you go into it. So just be careful you'll collapse into your shoulder blades or hang off the band too much. So the best way to do it is just, if you've got a tight tuck planche already, just open the knees up just a little bit and then slowly progress to open it up bit by bit, but give it time. I started learning handstand 3 months. I have not balanced. Please help me. Consistency is the main thing. Make sure that you're practicing kick ups to the wall, you're doing chest to wall handstand holds, and you're practicing heel pulls to freestanding. And then as you progress and as you get more confidence, add in the chest to wall pulling from the wall with the shoulders. Again, I've got lots of videos on learning to handstand, but most people want results too fast. Just give it time. Make sure you're hitting the basics. So a lot of people, and we're all the same, I done the same as well, where I'll start kicking up to 2 advanced progressions and you don't get enough quality repetitions. So make sure that you're getting lots and lots of time in the basics and make that up 80% of your session to be doing good working repetitions of a level that's perfect for you. And then play on top of that with the last 20% of your time, not the other way around. Most people do 80% play, 20% work in sets. And then just make sure that for learning to handstand, you want to be doing it 4 or 5 times a week. Short sessions, but just more frequently will normally get you over the line as opposed to doing 1 hour session once a week. I've been training 3 months now. I can occasionally balance for like 10 seconds. I think it's take more than 6 months for me to constant 15-second hold. Yeah, just make sure, like, assess yourself and make sure that you're doing the drills correctly as well. So a lot of people, so a good example, look, I'll give you the basics of learning to handstand. So we've obviously got a chest or handstand where we need to be doing conditioning holds. So up in that position, making sure you can hold here. Look, I'm holding a conversation. That should be really easy to hold for 30 to 60 seconds, no problem. If it isn't, build up that capacity. And then with the heel pull drills, so pulling using the fingertips to take the heels off the wall. So here, don't be stepping off the wall. Don't do this. This is one of the biggest mistakes. You want to be pushing up, squeezing the legs together, push through the fingers, come to handstand, relax the fingers, go back. Become an expert at that. And then over time, you can slowly increase your hold times there, going back to the wall. So that's the biggie, just making sure that your technique on your working reps is quality, not just banging out repetitions and not getting enough quality reps, because your body's only going to learn from the good reps, not from the bad reps. Is it normal to struggle as a beginner on the planching thing for underbalance? Yeah, so the underbalance control in a handstand. So what we're talking about there is being able to kick up and hold in underbalance. So this position here like that. So being able to go from handstand and have control here does take a lot of time. So this, getting control in that, being able to do that part, rarely takes 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, even longer to fill that gap. But when you get it, it will take you from a 30-second freestyle handstand to a 90-second freestyle handstand. Your window of balance will be much bigger. Press handstand, handstand push-ups will just become much easier. People will unlock a lot of skills just by unlocking that drill. So give that a lot of time. Do the chest to wall, pulling off the wall with the shoulders. Do lots of repetitions if you're ready to do it. It will transform your handstand. That's a massive one. Some people will get up to like a 30 to even 60-second handstand and still not be able to do that well. As soon as they start being able to do that one well, then it opens so many doors in terms of the calisthenics balance skills. Will you be streaming on this day every week? No, it's really hard for me to give consistent times for the streaming. I try and mix it up, but it's just hard with the kids and my life, juggling everything. But I aim to try and stream once a week, either on a Friday or a Saturday. But it'll be this time through till 5 p.m. Australia time. It's now 2 p.m. Australia time on Saturday. So this sort of window. Can you talk about pain in shoulders, traps, supraspinatus due to handstand or press overhead? Really, mobility is normally the issue, or one of the issues. So conditioning and mobility, but normally we dump into our body when we don't have enough flexibility to do what we're trying to do. So if my mobility in upper body is like this, and I try and put my hands above my head, then when I try and get into the position, I do this, or when I do that, my arms to go into that position. If I have my hands too narrow, then that's just going to cause blockages or areas in the body where energy will get stuck. And that's normally then where you'll get pain or discomfort, or somewhere else around that's compensating for that instability. So something like hanging, scapular mobility or control or conditioning is going to be really good for you. So making sure that you can do scapular push-ups, maybe making sure that you can do passive to active hanging. Make sure that's really easy. Make sure you can hang for a long amount of time. Make sure you're opening all the hips up. So even tightness in the hips can cause imbalances in the shoulder. Making sure that you're foam rolling your upper back. They're the sort of things that will just create more space and reduce blockages. And also just make sure that you're not training at levels that are beyond you. So like planch is a really good example. Press handstand, a lot of people do the exercises for those, but don't have enough conditioning and enough base. So they're actually collapsing when they do the repetitions. So that energy is just getting stuck. And you get those common places where people will feel the discomfort and pain. And then it just overworks and you get energy stuck there, and it's not nice and it's hard to get rid of. Paul, how are you? I'm fantastic, thank you. I've been working on my planche, lean, and crow pose. Been in my late 40s as well. Your videos are inspirational. Awesome, great to hear. Just stick with it, enjoy the journey, just listen to your body. That's the main thing. Don't rush the drills. Think of it as a daily practice, and you just slowly build upon it. Hey, Richard. Hope the sun's shining in the UK. What are your thoughts on using weight vests to help from a strength training of skills like planche, front lever, etc. chairs? I got given a weight vest. It's actually at the back there, and started training my handstand push-ups with it, and I hurt my shoulder. I was being stupid and doing like 20 kilo handstand push-ups because I saw people on Instagram doing it, and I wanted to try and match their weight they were using. I've since just stuck it at the back there, and I never use it. I feel at the moment like most of the progressions that you can do, you don't need a weight vest. If you want to mix training up and use one, like there's lots of people that use them and have great results with them. I personally just prefer not to use it, but it is a personal choice. But that's my only recommendation if you are going to use one, is to not go crazy with the weights. So I would just stick, 5 kilos extra on there max. I wouldn't go much more than that. And I would pick harder progressions. So like handstand push-ups, if you can do deficit handstand push-ups, You don't need a weight vest. You could do 90-degree handstand push-ups. You could do dead presses. You can do eccentric 90 degrees. You can do lower to planche, lower to bent arm planche. Like there's loads of progressions you could do. I'd prefer to do that. Can you recommend a full handstand routine for a day? I would just check out my website. Just search, not my website. Sorry, there is some on my website, but check out my YouTube channel. And there's plenty of videos on there of handstand routines at different levels. If you just search on their handstand, you'll get loads of stuff come up. But it will take me too long to go through it now, and it depends on your level as well. What are your recommendations on learning the straight bar handstand? I'm currently able to hold handstand on floor and parallettes. Again, I've got a YouTube video specifically on learning the straight arm bar handstand. Just get a bar that you're happy with. I can handstand straight bar on the P bars, but obviously they're unstable, the big tall ones. The lower P bar is easier to learn to handstand on. I probably wouldn't do wall drills. Like for standard P bars, like learning to handstand, I would use 2 bars and go and learn that way and do your normal pulling on and off the wall. I wouldn't do that for straight bar handstand. I would literally just be kicking up into the position and learning to balance there and playing with it. If you're not at a level where you can easily handstand on the floor freestanding and on the P bars freestanding, I wouldn't worry about doing straight bar yet. The other way you can do it is turn the bar, like have 2 of these and then slightly turn them so they're not quite straight bar handstand, and then over time slowly straighten them again. But most people that have decent balance, if you just give it half an hour of playing with balancing like that, you'll normally start to get some holds, and then you can just increase it. I actually find pressing onto straight bar is easier than kicking onto straight bar, just because I'm more controlled, because your window of balance is very small. Pressing just gives you more control, so you can go up slowly into it. Do you think that 9 series of pull-ups a week plus 9 series of dips a week are too low to progress? Pull-ups and dips, I would always do, if you're trying to build strength in those, I would do a 5x5. Like 3 times a week, if you want to increase your pull-up strength and your dip strength. But again, it depends on what level you're at. But a 5x5 is just probably the easiest way to know you're going to do enough volume. Sun always shines in the UK. I know it does, yeah. That's why we moved to Australia, because it's winter today and cold in Australia, and I don't know if you can see out there. No, it's not going to show us, but we've got blue skies. It's cold. It's 22 degrees today. What press handstand drill is most important? I would eccentrics to learn a press handstand, to be able to get control all the way down through the range of motion, the full range of motion. I would do partial range and other drills as well, but making sure that you can do this with control in some way. So starting in your handstand, if we're going to go straddle, go into your straddle position, shoulders come forward slightly as you start to roll through the low back, through the mid back, through the upper back, and then coming down so tiptoes touch the floor. If you can't do that, freestanding, do it back to wall, roll your spine down the wall. Same, finish with light toes kissing the floor. So I would say that's the most important drill for press handstand, but you need to fill your gaps. So if you come down with your legs like I did, but then you get to a point where you can't hold and then you drop, you need to fill that gap with a drill. So that's normally where we use a wall to fill the gap, or if your balance isn't good enough to come down with control, again, use the wall very lightly. And then over time, fill the gap with more and more control until you can do it like that. Normally, if you can do it like that, you can already do a press handstand. But if you're doing eccentrics, I would also do a partial range up movement. So a partial range would be, you probably know these already, but partial range would be from, say, this height, have 2 boxes, and then press up to your handstand, and then superset that with your eccentric, and like 2 exercises, and you've got a press handstand. It's not as easy as that, but they're the most important. Do you recommend doing hyperextension or back extensions to improve press to handstand? No, I would just do what I just said, the eccentrics, the partial range. Toes to bar can be good. Obviously, any straddle flexibility work. Most people do compression work where they don't need to. I would say do more straddle flexibility work. And if your flexibility is really good, I would just do slow eccentrics and become an expert at it. And be also planche work can help, especially if you're lacking a little bit of flexibility or struggle to get the toes off the floor in a press handstand. So building some strength in that upper back and shoulders to take more load, so your toes can start to float. Like if I can do this position, this planchy position, it's much easier to do this position, and then much easier to do that position and come up. So filling that gap on that shoulder upper back strength will nearly guarantee you a press, but it just takes a bit of time if you're not naturally strong in that area. Please show me tuck planche to advanced planche progress. So I would go, so if you wanted the planche progressions to go through, you would start in a tuck planche. So think whenever you're doing this, so it's easier for me to talk through it like this, then I'll do one as best I can with no warm up on the planche. But from a tuck position, we want to be going to more of an open tuck until we get to advanced tuck, so flat back, open position. Then we want to start to go froggy with the legs. So there, then you can go straddle, but where the hip is more closed. Then we can go open straddle, and then obviously full position. So, but think each of those, there's increments in between each stage of that. It's not just open up because your lever arm of your legs just moves way too far away. We want to slowly open the lever arm further away. So I'll do my best to show you what I can do now. Not fully warmed up for planche and at my old age. So I'll try and slowly open out. So tuck planche, advanced tuck, frog, straddle, open hip straddle, then straighter position. You're not going to get a full planche out of me. But think of your body's just slowly opening out to that position. But practicing on the floor helps you understand the position, and videoing from the side and making sure that you're still getting good, strong upper back position. If you look at any of the people that are really good in a planche, they normally walk around a little bit domed in their upper back just because they're so strong in that position. Hey Paul, love your videos. I've been training handstand for 5 months now, and I can't hold it consistently or hold it for more than 15 seconds. Any advice? So the biggie's just doing the heel pull, toe pull. So back to all, chest to all drills. Make